What's up, you guys? Teddy Striker here, and it's been a while. I was supposed to drop this video last week, but I got a little busy. I had to finish a few final exams, but I'm back, and in this video, I want to talk about how to become a star in the UFC because I've seen this year that people are starting to say that the UFC is struggling with their stars and that there's not really any big stars, and the UFC doesn't feel like it used to a few years ago. And first of all, I like to say I disagree. I think that there's a lot of big stars. Yes, there's maybe not as many, big stars on top, but there's still big stars. Like in the heavyweight division, you got John Jones, who's one of the biggest stars ever. You still got Pereira, who might beat Ankalaev in the rematch. You got comes out at middleweight, he might beat Duplessis, but even Duplessis, he's certainly have known. In welterweight, you still have Usman there, and lightweight division, you obviously have a lot of stars. You got Islam Makhachev, Charles Oliveira, Ilia Topuria now at featherweight, at lightweight. You got Max Holloway there too. Then at featherweight, you got Volkanovski, who's back. In bantamweight, you got Sean O'Malley, who's fighting for the title. Flyweight, there's not really like big stars, but there's some well-known guys. There's Brandon Moreno. There's Pantoja, who's well-known. Manal Cap. So there is some interest there, and in the women's divisions, Amanda Nunes is going to come back. So I feel like, yes, there isn't, that one massive superstar, but there is still some stars. Israel Adesanya is still here. I mean, there's still some stars in the UFC. But since some people seem to think that, there's not that many stars, let's talk about how the UFC can actually make some stars, or how some fighters can become stars. And I want to talk about like John Silva and the Fighting Nerds, because I feel like they're on their way to becoming stars in the UFC, and I feel like they're following these three key principles that are helping them become real stars. And the first principle that I feel like is the key to becoming a star in the UFC is to stay active. These guys are staying active. Like John Silva, for example, he's been in the UFC since early 2024, and he's already got 5 fights, and honestly he could get 2 more fights in this year, and he's already fought twice this year. He's staying super active, and we've seen in the past, in the UFC history, we've seen guys like Khamzat Chimaev really blow up when he started becoming active, and he fought like twice in 1 week. You saw Israel Adesanya, he was staying super active, fighting like 4 times in a year. Alex Pereira had 4 championship fights in 12 months. You saw Sean O'Malley at the start of his career, he was staying relatively active. Same with Conor McGregor. Kamaru Usman really started to blow up in 2021 when he fought Gilbert Burns in February. And then 2 months later, he came back and he fought Jorge Masvidal and he knocked him out. On top of staying active, the next key principle to becoming a UFC star is having exciting performances, because at the end of the day, this is a sport where people watch because they want to be entertained. They want to see something exciting, and exciting performances are going to do that. You get finishes, you get, fight of the nights, you get wars. That's what people are tuning in to see. People who don't really do that. Like, let's look at Bilal Muhammad, and no disrespect to Bilal, but I think part of the reason that he gets so much hate is because sometimes he takes his fights to decisions, and it's not really exciting to see. And even Kamaru Usman had this problem. He was like hugging people up against the fence and stomping on their toes, and that wasn't exciting. But then he started training with Trevor Woodman, and he started finishing people, and he was starting to become a star. So you gotta have the performances to back your activity, and that's what's really gonna leave that impression with the fans and make people really want to watch you. And the last principle I have to be a star in the UFC is to have that unique persona. You gotta have something about you that makes you different from the next guy in front of you or the next guy behind you. Maybe that can be just a unique attire that you have that maybe no one else has. Maybe it's like a symbol, like the Fighting Nerds that have their nerd glasses. Or maybe it might be like a phrase, a catchword. Korea, Shama. Or it could even be how you behave in and out of the cage. Who knows? But it's got to be important to, be unique. You want people to care about you and to put money in your pockets by showing up to your fights. They see you're fighting, they're going to show up because they like your fighting style. They like who you are, and they can get invested and really support you. And yeah, that's really all I got. That's my take on how to be a star in the UFC. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that there is a problem with the UFC stars? And if so, let me know why. But thank you guys for watching. God bless. And make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.